Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode number 48 of Creative Writers and Illustrators. And my guest for the day is Hannah Lalhlanpuii, who's written a wonderful book called Postcard from the Lalhlanpuii Brigade. Hi, Hannah. Good to have you here.
Hi, thank you. Thank you for having me.
So, tell us, how did this book, or would you like to start by talking something about the book?
Yeah, so the book is part of Duckbill's Song for Freedom series, and it's titled Postcard from the Lalhlanpuii Brigade. It's about the experience of children in Mizoram out here in Northeast India during India's struggle for independence. So the story is about the tale of a young boy and his brother and how they navigate their way through major political changes and social transition taking place in their world. And I mainly explored colonial rule in Mizoram and the experience of children during India's struggle for independence and what the idea of freedom means to them. So I think that's all I can say about the book, so that I won't give out any spoilers for
Right.
readers. Yeah.
Yeah. When you talk about Indian independence, there are a chain of events which have led to Indian independence. So, why did you choose this year, 1942, to tell your story? I mean, the book begins in August 1942 and ends in
Yeah.
1942.
Hmm.
So,
So, yeah, before addressing your question, I just like to add that, the experience or India's struggle for independence in tribal communities like Northeast India is a very, rarely talked about, very unheard of topic, so to say. Um, so that is why I wanted to bring out what Mizoram was like, what Mizoram was doing during that time. And the reason why I have chosen this time period, 1941 to 1944, is because this was a period when, major political changes were taking place in Mizoram during this time, especially in regards to British administration. So that is why I have chosen this particular period.
Major McCall, who is a real person from
Uh-huh.
history. Now he's also part. He comes as a character in the book. So, are there
Mhm.
any other true life people who appear in the book? The brothers who appear
Yeah.
was I mean, is it something you created for the plot, or is it based on some real?
No, I think Major McCall and Major McDonald, who came in later, I think those are the only two real characters that I've brought into the story.
The book, every now and then the main character kind of reaches out to Lalranga. Am I pronouncing it right?
Mhm. Yes, yes.
So he appears in every chapter, and then
Uh-huh.
the character kind of the character arc and his discovery, his emotional journey, comes with the realization. I mean, he connects it to Lalranga every
Uh-huh.
now and then. So, what can you tell us something more about the character?
Yeah, so Lil Wonga is a sorcerer in Mizo folktale. I've always been very fascinated with his character. I've always dreamed about, writing stories about him, or, even making a movie or an animated version about his character, because I think what really enriches our folk tales is the magic and the kind of superstitious beliefs that we have. And I think this is also what differentiates them from normal tales. And I think Lalwanga's stories and the many tales that come along with his character really bring out the magic and the superstitions that that color these folk tales. And like I've said before, he's always been my favorite Mizo folktales character. So that is why I wanted to um, bring in his character. And I think his character really, even in terms of personality, though I didn't really talk about Lalwanga's personality, it really resonates with my young protagonist. So that is why I keep pulling him in every now and then.
Babiha seems to be the only child character. I mean, you don't see him playing. The rest of the cast is much older to him. You don't see him interacting
Uh-huh.
much. I mean, hardly. And except for his brother, who's a few years older to him, you don't see him running around or playing or interacting with his peers. This book has a whole lot of older characters. So
Uh-huh.
that's which is quite rare when it comes to middle grade fiction. So, can you share a bit about why that's it was it required for the plot? Or you thought let's just focus on the plot and the plot moves ahead, just the main characters.
Um, I think I tend to do this very often when I write about I write stories. Even in my previous book, When Blackbirds Fly, I have a young protagonist who is the only kid within in his family, and who is very close to his father and those kind of things. So I think I do it very unintentionally, placing children amidst adults and exploring how they navigate their way through through life, those kind of things. I don't have any particular reason of doing that, but I think it comes very um, unintentionally, and maybe it also has to do with my character, because I don't really, even when I was a kid, I don't really mix with other children much. So maybe it's just a part of me echoing into my stories. Yeah.
In recent times, I've not seen a book which has siblings, and I think your book is unique because it tells the story. Uh, it's a story about two brothers, and that sibling love
Mhm.
between two brothers is very
Mhm.
strong. And
Mhm.
it could have been a combination of a brother sister or you know, sister brother. It could have been
Uh,
a different combinations, and yet there are it's a very unique choice that you have made. Again,
mhm.
it's just the way you thought, or was it like you thought that the character would come out best if it was a boy?
Yeah, because I wanted someone from the family who would be recruited into the Lushai Brigade, who would be enlisted in the army. So for that reason, I specifically chose a brother.
Any problems you had with the research? Is it documented well? Mizoram's British military history.
Yeah, there are a lot of problems actually, because since you asked, it's very we have very few documents, especially regarding, the 1940s, and also especially regarding the Lushai Brigade. There are very few documents. There are very few historical or political records. So but I think that plays to my advantage, because I could really exercise my imagination and fictionalize it as much as I want. So as much as it is a limitation, it's also a blessing for me in my writing process.
What else can you tell us about Pavira's family? There's his mother and there's his grandmom. The story
Yeah.
literally moves ahead with their emotions. They're not dramatic,
Mm-hmm.
but yet they are strong women.
Mm-hmm.
Things which are needed.
Yeah. So I kind of crafted the mother's character based on my mother's character, so to say, because she's also a single widow who raised us very exceptionally, so to say. So I wanted to have that strong single parent character, but also at the same time, I want the mother and the grandmother's character to contrast, to play in contrast with one another, because um I want that certain force of resistance against colonial rule, and that is being voiced out by the grandmother. But also at the same time, the mother, she couldn't really think about the political, the how do we say this, the aspect of foreign rule and those kind of things, because for her, instead of the political and all those kind of other agendas, her children comes first. So I have, brought in these two women characters, not just to show the the stance of many Mizo regarding colonial rule, but also to bring out the, you know, the concept of motherhood and, especially single parent.
There's a letter from Kima, right? And just he defines brotherhood is not in how we appear on the outside, it's in our blood and in our land. And then he goes on to talk about his fellow soldiers, that they will be there to protect him when the British attacks. So any thoughts on that?
I kind of portrayed Kima, the elder brother, as a very idealistic visionary, and but also with his death in the end, what I wanted to bring out was that, uh, being idealistic and having those kind of positive attitude doesn't really save you from the reality of war, the brutality of all this global and national politics. So I think with the character of Kima, I really wanted to bring out that idealistic visionary who was very patriotic, who was very, self-sacrificing and that kind of thing.
Throughout the book, the Cisadas are a part of the narrative. Any particular reason? Or it's just that the region has plenty of creatures that features?
Yeah, can you please repeat?
It's, Cisadas. Yeah. So I was saying the cicadas kind of appear throughout the narrative. Any particular reason that you have chosen? I mean, of course, they move the plot forward. They kind of reflect the characters' thoughts.
Yeah, I think it doesn't have any metaphorical reason, but they are a very popular insect out here in our region. So I think they really bring out what Mizoram is all about. And I think cicadas are one of the few insects who are still thriving in today. And so I think that's just one of the reasons.
I've seen the kind of similes they use. They're beautiful, and they just blend with the book very beautifully. It's a beautiful piece of writing, and I really hope we get to see a lot more from you, Hannah. Thank you so much. Is there something else you'd like to add? You'd like our viewers to know about the book?
Just one thing I'd like to add is that, with stories like this, I hope that we can, it would bring about more unity with the tribal communities like us with the mainland community, because what I also would like to do with this book, with stories like this, is I wanted to bring out the fact that the experience, the kind of political experience, the kind of social experience, the struggle for independence is a very shared experience. It's not just because mainland narratives are very popular and very big, and I think many a times these tend to overshadow the experience in the margins and in the periphery. So I hope the story and stories from the Northeast will continue to connect mainland and the Northeast more and more.
Yeah, sure. It's a beautiful piece, and I hope more people get to read it. Thank you so much, Hannah. Thank you.
Thank you so much.